Hey, Inspired Tribe. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Inspired Livestream. Welcome to the Inspired channel. And we're excited that you're here today. It is Thursday, June 24th. My name is Jean Nolan. My wonderful wife, Kristin Nolan, the wise voice behind the camera. And we're healthy, we're wealthy, we're whole, we're free. We are currently experiencing a very stable connection, which we assume, affirm, and speak into more stabilization as we move along in this live stream. This is a continuation from Tuesday's live stream, which was the part one on how deep the rabbit hole goes. This is what we're going to talk about today. But first, let me welcome all new tribe members, all existing and founding tribe members. Thank you for being here. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for co-creating your beautiful comments, your suggestions, your love, your energy, all of those wonderful things. We did put something up there. I want to say that before we jump into today's topic, on the top of that live chat section, and as soon as this live stream posts as a video, we'll put it on the top of the comment section as well. We have something called the Inspired Link Tree. And in that Inspired Link Tree, that's one link that you click on where you have all our inspired links: the YouTube channel, the website, the Yada Retreat, the Telegram group, and the Telegram channel, which we created the Inspired Tribe Telegram channel. So you guys can chat, connect, share with each other there, because so many of our tribe members are telling us, I feel alone in my journey. I feel alone in my awakening. I feel alone in all of this, and I would love to connect with like-minded people, like-hearted people. And that's why we have the Inspired Tribe Telegram group, chat group. So you just sign up. If you don't have Telegram, just get the app and click on the link, and you'll be automatically in there, and you can join the group and start connecting with each other. Well, let me say hi to Barb, and hi to Raquel, and hi to Frank, and hi to Agnieszka, and hi to Sonia. Hey, Sonia is also tuning in. Hello, Sonia from Germany. Frank is tuning in from Germany. It's good to see you all. Just going to wait maybe a minute or two for everyone to jump on. But let me say once again, the mantra for our live streams is we're healthy, we're wealthy, we're whole, we're free. And to honor Tuesday's live stream, I put on the exact same shirt and t-shirt that I wore on Tuesday. And I want to remind you who you are, who we are. We are the Inspired Tribe, my wonderful people, Inspired Tribe. If you have a shirt like that, click on the link tree. Kristin has a beautiful eye, beautiful hands, beautiful mind for designing, and she put some amazing designs into our merch store. And I will do a quick recap of what we talked about on Tuesday, what this topic is about. But let me read something to you. This will give you an idea, a mindset to start from. You might have heard this, but I'm going to put this in a different context today for all of you. When in the course of human events it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and nature's God entitle them, a decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impel them to the separation. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. This, of course, you might have heard before. It is just one piece, the beginning piece of the Declaration of Independence that was signed in 1776, that was actually inspired and instructed by the Six Nations of the indigenous people of America, that have instructed the people of the colonies some 30 years before on how to build a union. And they have then taken up their advice and began building that union. But what these people had experienced, this epiphany, this flash of understanding, is that something is going terribly wrong, and they had the desire to exit to withdraw their energy from a system that they did not want to be part of anymore, and that they did not want to support anymore. And they understood that there must be something beyond that. Now, this is neither perfect nor is it complete, but it is a natural human thing that if you aren't satisfied, happy, joyful in a situation, you will do everything in your power to change yourself and to remove yourself from the situation and to create something new. And this is what happened to us individually, and Christina's Eye is a beautiful collective that we are. Something happened to us many years ago. We were living in a system, as we all are, that it became increasingly clear to us did not serve the people, did not serve us. We experienced this in our lives, that the way we desired to express ourselves and the way we desired to live, the way we desired to be free, was constantly met with resistance from this system that really did not want us to live that way. And at first, we were in a state of fight. We were simply fighting off these constant attacks against us, and we were exhausted and tired. And we asked ourselves a question: how come that every single human, every single being, living being on this planet, every bird, every other animal, every fish is born into a principal state of freedom, which means they can move freely, they can live freely, they can live off the land freely? It's only us humans that have to constantly ask for permission for everything, register for stuff, get licenses, pay taxes, and be in a constant state of oppression. And that is a state of oppression. And we began researching, we began looking into these systems, because once you begin to understand who you are internally, once you begin to understand who you are in with the perspective of looking at the whole universe, you ask yourself, if I am a divine being, if I am truly this beautiful, free being that I was created to be, how come my expressions as a human being on this planet are so limited? And how come I have to constantly fulfill someone else's, a system's, a government's, an agency's expectations? And this is where this longing for knowledge came from, where we began to ask ourselves, okay, so there's the common answer to someone who's expressing frustration like that is, well, why don't you just go and vote for someone else? Why don't you vote for another politician? Why don't you vote for something else into power? And we realized that that ideally would be the way to do that. But within our systems, it was increasingly clear that yes, you could vote for something else, which was almost the equivalent of either voting for Pepsi or for Coke. Still not very diverse options, are they? And that's not just speaking for the United States. That's pretty much speaking today for most of the planet. And we realized at that moment in time that we had to figure out where the hell we entered that system and how the hell we could get out of that system. That was our desire. And we began going into all the rabbit holes that we were partially already in, but going even deeper. And the question was always, why is the system amongst humans set up? What did these people say? I just read the Declaration of Independence, a part of it. What did they say? They said that there are times in our history when we have to dissolve from a system that is in place because it is not doing its job. It is not serving the people anymore, and create something new. And so we looked at the systems and we looked into the monetary systems. We asked ourselves, how could it be that all the nations on the planet are in debt? And who are they indebted to? You have to ask yourself, if every nation on this planet is in debt, who is it indebted to? And then you ask yourself, how come so many people are indebted? How come we all have mortgages? How come we all have debt to pay off? And how come this is keeping us in a constant loop, until you realize that the monetary system is not at all the system that serves the people. Not whatsoever. A system that is set up actually to take the natural wealth of the people and bring it into the hands of a very few. Once you understand how this system is set up, you cannot, in good conscience, participate in this perpetuation. It is the same if you go into politics, if you go into science. That's not to say that there aren't good people in these fields. There are. There are brilliant scientists, and there are brilliant people in politics, and there are brilliant people in the monetary systems that are sitting there. But the system itself was built and supported and is financed with a completely different mindset. And so science is being constantly misused and taken out of context and misrepresented to serve a number of agendas, but definitely not the people. We looked at medicine, such potential. And although the world is getting more technologically sophisticated, although we apparently have now access to all the chemicals in the world that we put into people's bodies, and we have all these amazing AI robotic surgery machines, still there are more people getting sick every year. Still there are more people dying from cancer. Still there are more people on drugs, prescription drugs. So something was off. We just realized something was off. And you realize this once you know who you are. There's so much that you feel and don't resonate with anymore. Just because when you feel who you are, that's a moment of authenticity and truth, right? And so when you are then truth yourself, because you do not accept less than truth anymore, you look at the world and you see what resonates with this vibration. There's, in the worldly system, very little that resonates with that. Humans, yes, the people in these systems, wonderful people there. We met wonderful people in every aspect of these systems, from judges to police officers, doctors, scientists, preachers, beautiful, wonderful. Just a little bit of water. Beautiful, wonderful people in all of these areas, but a structural problem. A problem that seemed to be so overwhelmingly huge that at that moment in time, we decided that we were going to exit the system altogether. And it began slowly. It began slowly by realizing we didn't want to have any debt anymore, any mortgages anymore, and we started to withdrawing our energy there. We started to realize that when a bank loans you money, they really don't have that money. They create that out of thin air. How's that fair? How is it fair that someone types in a few numbers into a computer and then exchanges that action of a few seconds with 20, 30 years worth of your work time, your lifetime? You see, once you realize the big concepts, you begin to understand that you don't want to participate in that anymore. And we went through all these rabbit holes, and then we said, okay, how do we really exit? We didn't want to support the school system anymore that our kids were in. And we wondered, where does the human being actually enter the system? Because, and this is the interesting part here, people say, well, you know, you are a person, so you are part of the system. But recently, some governments of the world have declared artificial intelligence, robots. There's a robot in Saudi Arabia that was declared a person. There was a monkey that had developed such cognitive abilities that it was declared a person. So now we need to understand that a person in itself doesn't equal a human being. It's just how we use the word. As a matter of fact, the word person derives from the Latin expression personare, which means to sound through something. And persons have been depicted in history. They've been portrayed as people with masks. And you could say that the person, which is not the living being, the person is a legal fiction. Hence, it can be awarded to a robot or to a monkey, because it doesn't mean that a person is necessarily a living being. We know that because there are what we call fictional persons, or purely juridical persons. Is that the right word? That are awarded to companies. A company at court is also a person. So we realized that the way it appears to be every human being gets a person doesn't mean they are a person. And so we asked ourselves, if the person is the legal adapter that connects the human being with a dead system, and a system of written rules is a dead system. It's not a living system. How does the living being enter into a dead system? And then we realize there is this legal adapter, that we are not. This living flesh is not the adapter. The adapter is created when we get stuff like this here. You know, when we get stuff like IDs, identification. All of a sudden you identify. Do you identify as that person on here? No, I don't. No, I really don't. It's just a piece of paper that a government pretends that you need to have. And so we asked ourselves, well, are we in this voluntarily, or are we forced to be in these systems? Because if we are in this voluntarily, we don't want to be in it anymore. And so we went so deep into the origins of law, into the origins of natural law, into the origins of God's laws, that we eventually realized our human law system and our systems have gone so far from serving the people to just serving themselves that we didn't want to participate anymore. And we created a document that we sent to the government in charge at that time, a declaration, if you will, that stated exactly who we are, which is not the legal fiction, and that we will not fulfill the role of the legal fiction anymore within the system, which means we will not participate in it anymore, which means we did not vote, did not pay taxes, we did not use any public benefits, we did not send our kids to school. We took care of all of that ourselves. So we literally exited the system. And we declared something for the first time in our lives fully consciously, that we are, in our own lives, we are the sovereign. And what is sovereignty? A word that's being used as if it is something that is relative. Sovereignty is something absolute. It means the supreme power. It means freedom from external control. And if there is a supreme power that I stand under, it is source, the all that is God, that I am in connection with, and that I can accept that it has infinite intelligence that exceeds my current abilities in this human body. Definitely, I can agree to that. I can subscribe to that. But that is my own intimate decision that I make. Other than that, I am the supreme power in my own life. And I am free from external control. And that's what we declared publicly in many different ways. And we put this to the test because we were told that this would not fly, that authorities would not accept this. Because in reality, it's what people said, that's not true. You cannot be free from the system. And then we asked them, if that is true, aren't we then slaves? Because if we cannot decide whether we can be part of it or not, then we are not free. Then we are by definition slaves. Now, at that point, that's what no one wants to hear. It's when everyone turns away and says, well, that's philosophical. That's not philosophical. No one wants to hear that. No judge wanted to hear that. No attorney wanted to hear that. But we had some really in-depth conversations where people actually listened. And I said, listen, here's the thing. This is where the rubber meets the road. If you tell me that slavery is outlawed in your legal system, in your government, then I, by definition, cannot be forced to participate in your legal system, participate in any of your systems if I do not wish to do so. And they said, yeah, technically you're right, but it doesn't work like that in reality. And I said, no, this is it. This is it. And once you see a judge of 30 years that was sitting outside of the courthouse smoking a joint with one of our friends, that was a funny story. They were puff passing. Once you see this happen, a judge of 30 years, someone who's been in the legal system for decades, for the first time the penny dropped. And he too realized what that meant, because this is not taught. This is not taught for a reason. Very few people actually go go so deep into that thought that they realize that, and then they embody that. And we did embody that. Actually, a whole movement had formed of people that did not want to be part of that system anymore. And it wasn't out of a just rebellion. It wasn't just to say, hey, fuck off system. It was none of that really. It was a really clear and logical thought process that had showed them that if they wanted to live a truly moral, a truly ethical, divinely ethical, bless you, my love, a divinely ethical and moral life, they could not in good conscience keep participating and giving their energy to a system that is devaluing life everywhere. And then you go deeper into this and you gain even a deeper understanding that within that legal system, humans are not seen as humans. And people believe that when they go to court, there's the law of the land, and that law of the land governs a country, a jurisdiction. But it is not so. What really governs that jurisdiction in our modern nations is actually commercial law. Everything in our systems is commerce. And you and I in our systems are not considered living beings. We're considered a legal entity that has financial value. And a certain value is assigned to each and every one of us. And we then serve as collateral. As collateral. This is written down in legal documents. This has been signed into law by presidents and congresses and parliaments across the world, that we serve as collateral for debt and for monies owed and paid. If you go deep into these systems, you do understand that what you perceive to be your life and how the system looks at your life are two completely different views. And once you understand that, the view of that, and then you go into where the future is leading, into how they want to recreate the human into a genderless hybrid bionic robot, really a genderless hybrid artificial intelligence connected biorobot, then you understand that this isn't just a random sequence of events. And this is something that when the penny drops, when you make these connections, you start to ask yourself, if I am that divine being, every time I do not express myself in that way, every time I have to sacrifice my values, every time I have to sacrifice what I know to be right in my heart to fulfill a program that I do not subscribe to anymore, you die a little. This is what happens. You die a little every time you do that. Every time you fulfill some irrelevant and anti-human rule or regulation, and give up your better knowing, your better judgment that's coming from your heart, you die a little on the inside. And we just didn't want to continue dying a little and a little and a little and giving up who we really are. And you have to understand that when you live as this, as a sovereign, this is the highest form of responsibility that you can have for yourself and the planet. This is not a I can do whatever I want to do, no matter what the cost, no matter what the damage. That's not sovereignty. As soon as you behave like that, you actually prove that you are not a sovereign, that you are not a true human being. When your actions harm others, when your actions damage their property, or when your actions are harmful to the society as a whole, you're not a true human being. Then you actually, by definition, that legal fiction, you really fulfill the role of just an adapter. And so this form of freedom is equals higher consciousness, really. It's when you operate from a place of higher consciousness, awareness, and higher morals, which means that your morals are probably a lot higher than the system sets its standards when it provides the rules and regulations. And we've seen that over and over again. As a matter of fact, one of the biggest reasons why we didn't want to participate in anymore is because we were forced to take certain actions within that system that we knew harmed others. It wasn't just freedom. Freedom isn't just doing what you want to do all the time. Freedom is not having to do what you don't want to do. That's really the important thing. Freedom is when you cannot be forced to do something that you know to be wrong. And this system, actually, the legal system, the financial system, but the legal system at top of it, forces people to take positive action. And positive in this regard doesn't mean, it doesn't give a judgment of quality. It just means that you have to actively do something, makes you do stuff that you don't want to do. And we didn't want to do that anymore. We exited the system, and we lived outside of the system for a good while. And we traveled around, and we educated people on how this works. And we had day-long seminars. We went into these rabbit holes for 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 hours. We traveled around the country back in Austria and went from one court date to the other and helped people to understand that they were in the wrong place, they didn't belong there, and help people get out of tricky situations. We had confrontations with police. We've been accused of being insane. I was accused of being insane, and was practically forced to undergo a mental evaluation. And I remained true to my truth. I remained true to my values and principles. And I told the doctor exactly what I'm telling you. And that doctor declared that it makes total perfect sense what I was saying. And we have maneuvered through such a variety of situations from a sovereign standpoint. And when you truly are sovereign in your heart, in your soul, in your being, then there's really nothing that can stop you. There's really nothing that can harm you. There's really nothing that can take away your freedom, because that's what you are. And this is everything we've been doing and saying comes back to this, that what you truly are, not what you want, not what you make up in your mind, not the those things, but what you truly are is what you send out, is what comes into your experience. And no challenge then is met with fear. It's met with a knowing that that's part of your journey, and that there's not just a way out of it, there's a wonderful way through it. We've touched many lives with that, actually many lives with people within the system that felt there was something wrong, we just couldn't put their finger on it. And as a matter of fact, we had all kinds of people come to our seminars that came to investigate us or spy on us or whatnot, and they all pretty much turned around very soon, because they understood we're not a violent overthrow the government movement. We're not we never ever advocated for violence in any way. It's a revolution of the spirit. It's a revolution of the mind, revolution of the soul. That's what this was always about. And we decided that it wasn't our time yet to leave completely and go outside of this system completely and let it be. We decided that we wanted to come back and help dissolve and transmute it from within, if that makes more sense. And that's why we stayed within society, within a form of living together that doesn't really represent our spirit, but we are creating our own community here. We're communicating with you. We're creating this tribe. We're bringing ideas, sparking, or helping to create little sparks everywhere. That's been our journey for a long time now, probably 12 years, maybe even longer. And the understanding here is that unless you are willing to realize who you really are, you cannot live in freedom until you comprehend what freedom really means. You cannot live as a sovereign human being until you realize that you have been brought into a system that has its arms wrapped around you from the beginning. And then you have to make a choice. Do I want to be in it or not? How do I want? But unless you know these things, what you believe to be freedom isn't freedom. And that's what's been going on the planet. And that's people, especially, we want to say in this part of the spiritual community, that studies, the laws of the universe, and studies the laws of synchronicity and attraction and all that. There are people that are allergic to any sort of truth seeking because it scares them. And so they say, "Oh my God, that's all negative. That's just negative conspiracy stuff. I don't want to hear it. It's not real. It's not, I'm not." And that we never believed in. That does not, it isn't authentic. It isn't true. It doesn't have an authentic meaning. It doesn't have an authentic vibration. And these are usually people that continue to struggle through life because they're not willing to look at what is. And you can only change what you are aware of. And this is what this journey has been about for us. And there were moments of rebellion. I mean, there were moments where we had to stand up as lions and roar and make clear who we are, what we are, and that we are not to be pushed around. And there still are moments to come for humanity to do that, to really stand in your truth and be strong and not be swayed one bit. Because you need to understand something. This whole charade is just built on finding that little hole in your aura, that little hole in your consciousness, and then piercing through it and injecting fear into it. And that's just something that we will not accept anymore. We will not look at any part of life with fear anymore. I do not care how you look at me. I do not care what you think I need to do or say or be. I do not care. I do not care if someone comes my way that expresses themselves with force and tells me that I need to be different, need to speak differently, or need to be something different. I say with love that I will never, ever, ever submit to that. And that they can either become my friend, which you're always welcome to, or they can lovingly fuck off. And that's how this is going to be every single time until our last breath. And that's a knowing and an understanding. And I can just tell you, you cannot unlock that kind of authenticity and strength within you unless you understand all of this, unless you have an understanding for how all of this works, for who you really are. You cannot just pick one phrase out of this whole thing and say, I don't want to see anything else. All is love and light. It doesn't work like that. It just doesn't work like that. But you are at your essence, love and light. We all are. And we come to this planet now, especially. We've come here for a particular reason. And to be sovereigns means that we have the greatest responsibility of all people. If you're part of the crowd, if you're part of the bio-robots, you don't have that. But as someone who understands who you really are, you have the highest form of responsibility. And I love this beautiful notion, this beautiful understanding that I learned through the stories of Chief Oren Lyons from the Onondaga Nation. And he said that 1,000 years ago, the peacemaker came to his people and taught them. And one thing stuck with me so clearly is that when you make decisions, you have to make decisions for the seventh generation. And they don't speak in generations as me, my son, and his son. They speak in lifetimes of generations. So let's take a lifetime of 80 years. The seventh generation, that's like 560 years. And so let's say a good half millennium. Decisions that we're making today, we need to look ahead into the future. How is this going to affect the generations to come? And what do we want to build? Because if we just put band-aids on the crap that has been here, the next generations will have it even harder. They will have to fight even harder to find some truth, some authenticity. But the light that's coming up at this time gives us the opportunity, and we've spoken to this many times, to actually change and transform these things. So we leave a starting point to build something truly majestic for the generations to come. We truly believe in this golden age. But in this golden age, every human being needs to first realize who they really are and step into their true power and become a real sovereign being. And that also means to have the highest standard for yourself in thought, in the word, in action, in everything. That's what that means. We have to live up to our true divinity and not function on the level of instinctual reptile brain beings. We have to step up to the plate and become who we really are, become the beautiful creators that we are. And for that, we need to break through this illusion that has been wrapped around us, break through the illusion and become who we were always meant to be. And for that journey, part of our journey was simply to understand what's been going on the planet and understanding what we want to support, put our energy in, and what we don't want to put our energy in. And Kristin and I have been very, very, very straightforward with that. We have literally not given up 1 inch of that. Sometimes to the eye, to this, to the suspectors from the sidelines, to people that observe us, thought we were completely crazy and how we were living and what we were doing and how we were making decisions that to them seemed completely crazy. But we could not and we cannot ever give up our better judgment, our conscience, our consciousness, our morals, our values, our principles, our foundation for some fleeting satisfaction that comes for a moment, for some pleasure that lasts for 5 minutes. It's not going to happen. And that's what we're in. And that's the deepest rabbit hole, is really to understand where you're tied to all of this. And it is as much a spiritual understanding as it is a mental understanding, as it is a physical understanding. All of a sudden, all these areas come together, and it is a true liberation, true freedom. And then you can, when you bring that essence, and we've had politicians that came to our seminars that then brought that spirit to the work. Can you believe when you bring the spirit of true freedom and sovereignty into the work of politics? My God, what beautiful sparks. Look at the Ubuntu movement. Michael Tellinger out of South Africa, someone we were connected to as well. Look at what people are doing across the planet. These are people that have gone through all the rabbit holes, comprehended, understood the system, and now they have such power. They have such strength. They have such conviction in what they're doing. And they have so much love for humanity as a whole, for how this can be. And the beautiful thing is, because of our dreams and visions, we've already created this in the invisible realm. We've already created such a beautiful world to live in. And now it's time to bring ourselves into that vibration more every day, more every day, more every day. Become those beings and bring that into the physical realm. Never violence, never hatred. All that crap doesn't feed our souls. It doesn't help us. It doesn't bring together humanity. There's no power in that. So people that go out and violently protest and all of those things, really, very little power in that. But there's so much power in knowing who you really are. And that's why we are on this journey. That's why we have decided that it's okay, that it's one soul at a time, that it's not a trillion people, a gazillion people, that we have the biggest audience, that we promote ourselves every day. That's not what this is about. One soul at a time. Your awakening, our journey together on this planet. Something beautiful, something amazing, something that truly speaks to this sovereignty, real sovereignty. Look into this. And don't be afraid. I'll give you a few names where you can go and study some of that. And these might be people that have different spiritual belief systems, or have none at all. Go and just follow their factual, logical thinking. You'll learn a lot. One beautiful person is human being actually, is Maxwell Egan. He's out of Australia. He used to have a big YouTube channel. Well, he was removed, but Maxwell Egan, still on other platforms. Beautiful, beautiful videos. Just listen, keep listening. There's a new thought process that you will be adjusting to. And then there's Maxwell Jordan. So all the Maxwells. Maxwell Jordan, look into him too. He'll give you all about how this is actually maritime law that we're in, and what the birth certificate means, and what all these funny terms mean. Why when you're in a courtroom there's a dock? Isn't that on a ship? How's that all connected? Look into it. Maxwell Egan, Maxwell Jordan, for now, two really good names, and just go and discover a little bit what's going on. Of course, the wonderful soul brother David Icke, on his forum, there's a lot that you can look up on the sovereignty or free man on the land movement. Just something to look into. And look at the principles, the thoughts. Very, very powerful. Tribesters, this has been a good week. I want to thank our special dedicated person at YouTube for not interrupting this live stream and for stepping into the heart space with us. Thank you. You feel it too. You don't even know that we're doing this for you the most. That's really for you the most. So Tribesters, this is it from us for this week. It was a wonderful week of live stream. Thank you for being with us. Thank you for all the beautiful comments, for showing up, for being here, for the emails. Please give us some time to answer all the emails. We're probably a week behind, maybe. We'll get to it. We won't forget you. Just give us a little time. But we want to say how much we appreciate you. And thank you for the suggestions for topics to dive into in the next weeks. We put a list together, and we'll go and just feel our way through that. Please do hit the like button when you're here. Check out the link in the link tree up below. That's where all our links are. Check out the Yada retreat if you feel inspired to join us. And we will be here again on Monday, 2 p.m. Central on the Inspired channel. And you won't be the same human beings coming back to that live stream on Monday. I can guarantee you that. Whatever will happen between here and then, it will change you. It will change your soul, maybe a little, maybe a lot. And that's the beautiful process of transformation. And then we'll hear new things, and we'll say new stuff, and it will come together in a new, beautiful way. We love you all. We're healthy, we're wealthy, we're whole, we're free. See you on Monday.